Welcome back, disc golf fans, to round 2 back 9 coverage of the Music City Open, the second stop of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Silver Series events. I'm Nathan Queen, again joined by Chandler Fry.
Hello, and we had a solid front 9. We have Chris Dickerson leading the way with a 5 down. Joel Freeman shooting 4 down with a slow start, but picking it up, starting to heat up a little bit. And then we have Garrett Gurthie and Nathan Queen shooting respectable 3 downs.
Yeah, just a few bogeys for lead card during that front 9, but pretty solid shooting. A very attackable back 9 out here. 11, 12, 13 would kind of be birdie alley. You can even include 10. Pretty short hole, but still a tough get with the scariness of it we're about to see right now.
Yeah, very short hole. Easy to go out of bounds in any location on this hole. We have a tiny green. If you want to be aggressive, you can go to the basket, but it's elevated and about 10 feet on all sides, except for the right side, from the out-of-bounds area. And the drop zone is about 65, 70 feet down on the other side of the drop zone. So if you go out of bounds, you're for sure getting that bogey.
Yeah, and even though it looks fairly flat here, it is kind of all sloping away from that basket as well. So if you catch metal on a putt, possible to roll out of bounds.
Yeah, it's tough to stick that green. It looks like Joel has done it, though. Conditions are very calm, so it's very it's a pretty easy choice to get to the basket or be aggressive on this hole, which Chris looks to be doing.
Yeah, he's going to be in there inside the circle as well, maybe 25 feet.
Yeah, just a scary hole to commit on.
Garrett with that AVR X3 in a similar position as the others.
Yeah. Scary putt, though.
Yeah, I'm also going to go AVR X3.
Did you like that out of your hand?
No, I did not like that out of my hand. I knew that if I didn't catch that pole, that's what that smile is. I thought I might catch the OB pole and stay out. But circle's edge putt right here, maybe 32, 31 feet.
And are you committed at this point to going for this putt?
Yes, I am not going to lay this up.
Yeah.
Or so I thought.
I think an interesting stat would be maybe circle 1 layup. If we have holes like this, there's going to be players that strategically choose to lay up instead of going for it, and I don't think that should result in a missed circle 1 putt.
And I agree with that, kind of along with the hole 3 green that we had, unable to make those circle 1 putts.
Yeah, it would be interesting insight into different player strategies and all that. So.
Right. Garrett able to connect after myself and Chris leave it short.
There we go.
So I think we're going to have kind of a rare scorecard here for hole 10 from lead card.
There we go.
With 2 birdies and 2 pars. On this hole, I think you're going to see a couple birdies and a couple bogeys from players not going OB, or from players going OB and then having to play from the drop zone.
It's for sure unusual to not see at least 1 bogey per card.
Yeah, this hole at 250 feet averaged 2.97, so right at par with 33% carding the birdie, but 26% carding bogey or above. It looks like we did even have a 6 on the hole, so triple bogey came into play.
That's got to hurt the lead card. Playing that hole pretty well, which brings us on to hole 11. One of the trickier tee shots on the course. You have to navigate through this gap. Try not to hit that wide tree. Finish right past the cacti right there and give yourself either a choice at a right, low, tight gap or the safer lefty hyzer or sidearm high hyzer down the left side gap to the basket, which we will see, which has trees on the right and left and a creek running behind it.
Yeah, so for a shorter par 4, still pretty technical. Two precision shots are what you need. They're not necessarily distance, but still have to be in good position. And this is a good position.
Yeah, that's solid. You can see Joel really ramping up that accuracy by going standstill off the tee pad.
Looks like that Gator 3 that he threw earlier on in the round.
Oh, no.
And Garrett gets a nice kick down back into the fairway at least, but not what you're looking for. You really need to get through this gap.
Yep. And Chris testing that right side. It looks to be perfect.
Using every bit of that small fairway, gets into a similar spot as Joel.
And what are you throwing here?
I'm going with that Sexton Firebird I've been throwing. Get it off nicely. Moving a little fast. Oh, that's a dirty roll. That's what happened. I thought it sat down in a great spot.
Yeah, it did.
And then it rolled to a not great spot.
You'll be hugging the right side trees on that one, unfortunately.
Garrett going big here, trying to get out over top of these trees on the right. Doesn't quite get the turn that he wanted, but does get the kick that he wanted. He'll be in a very good spot to save his par now.
Not a bad result for that risky shot. Joel going high left forehand. That looks to be pretty good.
Looks pretty good, but he's pushed a little long. He drops down just about 20 feet away from the basket, but in a pretty tough spot.
That's an awkward position to find yourself in.
Yeah, me right here. Yeah.
Oh, both. There's that stance again.
I've struggled on the last couple of holes and am trying way too hard here. This is
I lost it.
Yeah, most people did. It went actually came off the hand behind me, started off going backwards, ended up going about 120 foot sideways, but landed in an open spot.
Hey, there we go.
Nice overextended pitch out from myself. Chris Dickerson gonna just lay up for the par. See, I'm in a nice open spot.
Perfect. I think you're playing this hole perfectly. Look at that upshot.
Easy AVR X3 upshot. Inside the circle for my par look now.
I'm sure you just owned it, said you meant to do it, and moved on. But not a bad result for a pretty crazy throw.
Garrett also being a little unconventional on the hole, gonna get up and down for his par.
That's like an upshot, giving it that little bit of a run. And then you from about 23, 24 feet. Yeah, we're seeing some unusual pars on this hole.
Got my nice par. You see a little smirk there, like, man, got away with one.
Oh, then Joel is trying to get to his disc.
Yeah, so right now he's getting in there to mark it. Lots of thick thorns and such out here.
So the trouble with this is trying to get back to the disc. And those are, there's thorns in there. It's just a jungle. He's currently attached to one.
Yeah, it's a difficult area to have 20, 25 feet from the basket. I don't know if it's really a good thing to have this close to the basket. These thorns and things that are here were not deemed as a casual relief area, so it is something that the players are supposed to play from.
Does anybody have another mini?
And
it looks like he's taking it back from, or what's his plan here, do you think?
So yeah, he's been trying to get in there. He comes over and says that he is not able to get to his lie and wants to take casual relief back behind it. I'm in there looking at it right now saying I could get in there within 15 seconds, I believe, and take this shot. We walk off to talk a little more while he is deciding to go ahead and take his casual relief here further back behind his disc.
But you cannot take casual relief from something that is not deemed a casual obstacle.
So what was decided afterwards, we went to the next hole, got the TD, and since the majority of the group decided that it was a playable lie and that he could have physically gotten in and got his disc behind the marker that he put down to mark his disc, that it was a playable lie. So his casual relief was then taking a stroke as well. So he was, instead of the 4 throws that Joel threw here, he is taking 1 stroke along with that casual relief.
Interesting. That's something you don't see every day, but good description of the situation there.
Yeah, and it was like we double checked with the TD on the next tee pad, and then once the round was over, got additional confirmation that was the correct call. So the card ends up with 1 birdie and 1 bogey on hole 11, which did average just barely over par at 4.06.
Yeah, that brings us on to hole 12. pretty straightforward hole. You just want to navigate through this gap right here. And the basket is located down the fairway in the middle. You want something straight, something that you can hyzer through that gap, flip up. Unless you're a lefty, it's more of a straight shot. You want to avoid those trees on the right and left. But yeah, kind of a crazy situation on the last hole. Was there any drama, or was there any...
I mean, it was definitely there's always a little bit of tension. There was no yelling. There was no, we were all having a conversation about it.
For sure. A stroke means a lot.
But it's still, it brings a different energy to the card.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have 4 players who are all battling right now, and one stroke can mean a few places in tournaments like these where everyone's just very tight at the top. Garrett pushing that a little right. If he gets through the trees, it might be okay.
Yeah, he said he's done that same thing both rounds now, so he is up there inside the circle along with Chris.
There we go. So like I said, the lefty line's a bit of a straighter shot.
Yeah, a little straighter, and I just a little bit too low there.
Yeah.
That was about the right line, but came off a bit low. That is not what you're looking for here.
I'd say it's still in Queen country, though. We have Joel throwing out the sidearm, which surprises me because he has a really good flex fairway driver game.
Yeah, I agree. But he shows you why he chose the sidearm right here. Gets up inside the circle. A little unfortunate to catch that little rock or wood or whatever it is right there. But he's still inside the circle.
It's a good bounce back drive from what happened on the last hole.
Hey.
Oh, like I said, Queen country is a real thing, and he almost dunked that. And Joel, he should have been about 10 feet closer probably than where he is right now.
Yeah, instead he's about 29, but able to hit dead center, no problem. He's going to card the birdie.
Yeah, and him being top 10 in the world is one of his skills is lately that he's been working on is resiliency and just tenacity and making sure that he doesn't let too many shots get in his head because there's still a lot of golf to play, so...
Garrett also dead center on the pole, gonna card his birdie.
Here we go, right through the trees, right into the bucket.
You see Joel and I fist bump there. That was something that I really wanted to do, as I was one of the more vocal on making that call on the last hole. Never a personal decision, so I wanted to make sure we could continue to be friends or comrades for the rest of the round and try to get rid of that weird energy that we just had.
Well, the rules are there for a reason, and you have to enforce them, and you're one of the best at doing that. So, good job by you, honestly, to make sure that the rules were followed.
And 3 birdies and a par there, which surprisingly, this hole only averaged 2.88.
Wow.
I figured there'd be a few more birdies on that hole, but pretty good for the lead card. 3 birdies, 1 par, bringing us into hole 13, 270 feet. Very cool guarded green here, and try to get through these front trees.
Yeah, a lot of guardian trees you have to navigate through, but look at that green. It is so beautiful. I said yesterday it seems pretty mythical. I just love getting up to that green and making that putt.
Be a very cool spot to just hang out in your hammock if there wasn't a basket up there.
Yeah, and read some Lord of the Rings or something, This looks a little turned over. It might get some tree love towards the basket. It does not. It goes right through.
Yeah, Chris gets right up in there. He's scooted off to the right side just a little bit, but he does have an inside circle 1 birdie putt.
And this looks to be a pretty decent line. A little left.
And not a good kick. Gets a little further left.
And Joel leaning on one of his strengths with that sidearm.
And also comes out a little bit left. Gets a very, very unfortunate bounce down and rolls back around outside of the gap. So he's going to have a tough time even getting back into the gap now.
Remember on this hole last year we were playing together and you hit basket, which is quite impressive. That's a good looking shot.
Yeah, I go with Gator instead of FD3, which is what I've been throwing, just because the Gator's been throwing well today.
You just left Garrett's caddy hanging right there.
Sorry, Dan.
I'm sure he understands. So, yeah, Joel in a pretty terrible spot.
Yeah, and honestly gets a nice little pitch out. He does kick about 3 or 4 feet further away than what he threw to. He'll be right around circle's edge trying to get his par now.
Didn't have the height. I love this tiered approach to the basket. It really makes sure you have the height off the tee pad if you want to get to that birdie position.
Yeah, and Joel also just a little bit low. He's going to end up carding a bogey here.
Oof, nice little floater Anheuser putt. He has that Challenger OS disc, so he knows that even if he puts it on the Anheuser, it will try to fight back and go straight.
Yeah, Chris is one of those players that's just very good at putting no matter what stance or how he
Did you see
has
that
to
gap
putt.
he hit? That was insane. That was beautiful.
Yeah, just no matter where he's at, he's going to find a way to give his disc a chance to go in.
Yeah, really showing why he's number 4 in the world right now with putts like that.
Very nice birdie there. I'm able to take a birdie as well.
There we go. Yeah, Chris is number 4 in the world, just behind Ricky, Paul, and Eagles. So the guy is just as elite as you can get. Joel tapping in that unfortunate bogey. Not one you want to get on this hole, that's for sure.
Almost a half stroke under par. Only 5% of the field taking a bogey or worse. 51% getting a birdie. And that moves us into a pretty tough hole 14, which we will see right after this commercial break.
The crowd was so spectacular today. Just the energy from you all was just amazing.
I love you, Oregon!
Here we are, hole 14, 598-foot par 4, with this gap off the tee being the main difficulty in the hole. If you can get your right to left moving shot, the righty backhand or a lefty forehand, it's going to be the ideal way to get through that gap, and you can still get 400 feet or so off of that if you really need to. And then have a pretty short approach into this green. They have tucked it back into this tree line a little bit. Sorry, I think a bird just hit the window or something.
I think something
here.
did, but we'll keep moving on. This is your favorite tee shot on the course, right?
Yeah, very, very, very fortunate kick there for Chris. Sorry. Yeah, this is a very difficult shot for me. I have to do some very strange things since I don't have a great lefty sidearm. I've got a sidewinder here trying to hyzer stand up.
And you can see the tee pad is elevated, which makes that run up for the lefty Anheuser very difficult. So you have to start on the kind of the wood right there.
Yeah, that leaning tree gets me pretty good.
Yeah. This hole did change from last year. The basket is a shorter, closer to the trees, making the approach much more difficult. But still a very gettable birdie if you can get out of this gap right here.
Yeah, Garrett does so well. He gets up there into an open spot. And Joel ripping on this one.
Yeah.
Nice and overstable. He gets just as far as Chris did, but a little more out in the open and with a little bit less luck or skirtiness.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a absolutely blind up shot for you.
Yeah, I'm still probably 360, and I can't see anything going on. I'm just trying to get up there, and I do pretty well. That's a good shot from where I was at.
That was a pretty safe approach. You weren't really testing those trees on the right side, and you're still giving yourself that birdie opportunity. Garrett going big backhand Anheuser shot.
Such a difficult shot
and he gets
to
through the
execute,
trees.
and does it very well.
That's a scary shot because you can see that pond down there. That is obese. So if he does connect on a branch or a tree, he could be sent off into the realms.
Yeah,
of
he
out of
works
bounds.
those color glow rock threes so well, though.
Yep.
Joel looking to go with the Gator 3 there. Pulls it out a little bit wide, but he'll still be in circle 2 for his birdie look.
Yeah. Chris got up there even with that little tree hit, or that bush hit. And he's going to be in a tough spot. It is not easy from that position, that's for sure.
He does not really have a birdie look. Yeah. He's going to be doing some stretching.
And you are the highest rated lefty on tour right now. Did you know that?
I know it's always close between me and Chris Clemens. That putt was pretty close also. I thought I made it.
Yep. Chris Clemens is 2 rating points below you right now, so congratulations on that title.
Cool.
But yeah, that putt, that was one of those 50-50 putts that it could have stayed, but unfortunately you got the wrong end of the stick on that one.
Yeah, Joel right here, able to correct. Not that he putts like me at all, but able to make his birdie putt from circle 2. Dead center the entire time.
Good commitment on that putt.
Yeah, very committed with a scary backdrop.
A great bounce back from his previous hole, the bogey. And you can see Chris just in that jungle, having to lay out, almost laying it down entirely. A shot you usually don't see on tour. You usually don't have these situations.
Yeah, he's got using his arm to support himself as well. And he's actually put it up over top, trying to give it a chance for birdie.
That would have been absolutely legendary if he had made that.
Yeah, that would have been pretty wild. Garrett, though, gonna make his birdie.
There we go. A little bit of luck on the upshot, but still great distance control. Great shot. And a good birdie for Garrett.
Yeah, this hole averaged right at par, 3.9. Few birdies, few less bogeys, so lots of pars.
If you want that birdie, you really have to test those trees, and half of them get through and half of them don't. So not a bad hole for the card, though. 2 birdies and 2 pars.
Yeah, I'm happy to take my par there. It's hard for me to get pretty far off of the tee to not have that blind upshot.
Yeah,
Another hole that might be a little more difficult off of the tee pad for the left-handed backhand thrower. Hole 15, 608 feet. You're going to see the righties go way up here where the drone's at, over top of these trees, and then land maybe 250 or so in that area away from this downhill sloping green. It is a little more difficult to control your upshot here. Left-handed backhand player are going to try to throw a flex shot through that gap to get to the spot that these right-handed players are.
And one of the changes to this year's hole is I believe they moved the tee pad back about 15, 20 feet, which makes that gap that the left-hand backhand players are trying to hit not very accessible for the right-hand backhand players unless they want to throw that flex sidearm.
Yeah, I think the idea of moving this back was to make this over-the-top shot less doable. But it didn't quite play out that way. It really just made it to where the power players can still do that shot. The right-handed backhand players are playing a layup that don't have the power to go over top, a layup to that gap, and then the lefties are going with that flex shot.
Yeah, Chris and Joel both smashed those drives. Those are great.
Didn't really see much variance from those 3 options.
No, definitely not. And you're going for that gap shot on the left.
Yeah, and I hit, there's a little divot, a little hole down there on the tee pad, and when I planted, my foot just stuck. It didn't turn at all, threw my body motion all off. I don't know where I'm at in there, but now I'm out throwing 3, trying to get a par. Yeah,
some of these tee pads are a bit lumpy, but more towards the end, so where we're planting, we're not getting that grip that we're hoping for. Great looking shot from Joel right there up to the basket. The upshot is not easy. You have to navigate through those 2 guardian trees and the tree in the middle.
Yeah, it's just it's a short distance, but it's just a weird feeling green. I don't do that one quite right, but it sneaks up there in the circle. I'll have a par look now.
Yeah. I'm liking that Garrett is really leaning on that forehand short distance play.
Yeah, and this is coming in a little fast.
Looks like he might have been using a Firebird again, perhaps?
Yeah, I think that is a Firebird, and gets a good stop, but then stands up and rolls down outside of the circle.
Has to hyzer in.
This looks like a good correction from Chris there. Still gets a pretty fast skip, but he's inside of 25 feet. Going to have an opportunity for his birdie.
Yep. And Joel, the first one to putt. Yes. Good connection from Joel. Nice back-to-back birdies for him. Yes, sir. He's still having a good round. He's having a few mistakes, but he's bouncing back really well from every single one. And Garrett, lucky to have a stance in there.
Yeah, he's still dealing with a little bit of a branch in his upswing. And man, it looked like he made that putt with the angle that his disc goes in. That putt where it hit typically stays.
Yeah.
He's on a hyzer down to the left, just like just the angle that should stay in.
Yeah,
where
agreed.
He hit at. I'm able to connect for my par.
Yeah.
Doing a bit of scrambling here on the back 9 so far.
Yeah, good par. From where that drive was, it looks like you were deep in those woods. And Chris looking to get that birdie. Yeah, there's a few weird reactions off these baskets that we've seen so far. Putts that you think should probably stay in, bouncing out. Yeah, Garrett tapping in that par after a pretty good upshot, but he left a little bit to be desired on that upshot though.
Yeah, a couple pars and a couple birdies here. This hole averaged at a 3.93, right in the middle as far as difficulty goes.
Yeah, we are moving on to my favorite hole on the course, hole 16. It's my favorite because I love this right low gap that you have to really execute on. Throw it low and maybe have it skip up to the basket if you're a right-hand backhand player. If you're a left-hand backhand player, such as Nathan Queen, you're going to do a nice little flex shot out to the left side and have it finish towards the basket.
Yeah, and these righty forehands as well. We've got a couple good players here with the righty forehand.
True.
And that straight play is it's pretty difficult. I would like to see this hole without the left side available, just to see what would happen, how much different it would play with just that straight gap. Joel going a little higher than I've seen, but very clean. Gets around
good roll too.
Well, and he is inside the circle for his birdie.
Great roll from Joel. And Chris probably looking to go a little lower, but pretty high actually. Similar line.
He liked that line, but didn't quite get the power on it. He's going to end up inside of that tree.
We got Gurthie throwing a roller.
Yeah. Maybe he heard me call out DJ Wicks the first round, going to try the same thing, but this is a little bit inside. He was looking for that to go left of those trees. He's going to be in a very difficult position now.
I like that play. It's a bit odd, but I like it.
Halo Thunderbird.
Oh, that's not turning up.
It did not turn up. I'm in there somewhere. It's not terrible. It's in a better position than Garrett.
Yeah.
And
but kind of takes birdie out of the equation.
Yeah, I am out of play for birdie on this hole that you really would like to get a birdie on, especially with the back nine that I've put together so far.
For sure. And you were just the king of awkward stances this round with those patent pending or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah. Nice little touch shot there. That's about all I could do. Not what I want, but after the tee shot, it's all you can get.
Good bid from Garrett. Yeah. It's tough to get to the basket if you're in where Garrett was, just dead center of that tree having to...
And 2 of the last 3 holes, we see Chris Dickerson throw his disc upside down with his other hand on the ground. Pretty strange things there.
Yep.
Some weird stances out here.
Joel going for that lone birdie. That putt's looking good. A bit strong, but it's catching.
Yeah, he's got 3 in a row now after hole 13.
Yeah, there we go.
Bouncing back very strong.
Some good camaraderie there.
Yeah, I was asking him about that high line that I hadn't seen yet. And he said he didn't start doing that until yesterday. But once he hit it, he liked it, so he did it again.
Makes sense. Yeah, difficult hole. I was hoping to see at least one person go down the right side, but I guess I'll have to wait.
Yeah, it's just a tough way to go.
Yeah.
So many little clingers hanging on those edges that can just grab you and knock you down pretty quickly.
If you get that skip off the top of that hill, there's a very good chance it'll find metal, in my opinion. I didn't do it at all in practice, but it's there.
Absolutely. So 1 bogey, 1 birdie there. That hole averaging the same as hole 15 at a 2.93, so right in the middle. Difficulty goes. This one is not right in the middle, the hardest hole on the course.
I'm not even playing this tournament. I'm still having nightmares about this hole. The tee shot is so demanding. We got OB lining the entire right side of the fairway and a line of trees that if you find yourself in there, you are essentially out of bounds because you have to pitch out. And the second shot on this hole is just as difficult. You have OB on the right, trees on the left. We have these trees that if you're a right-hand, backhand player, you are looking to aim as wide right as possible to get the disc in there to skip, and you might connect with one of those trees. It's hard. It's very demanding, requires 2 perfect shots, And we'll see what happens with Joel. He is testing that right side OB. He needs that to come back.
Yeah, and that's just going to stay out wide. Got way too much stand-up on that.
What was the wind doing on this hole? Do you remember?
There wasn't much wind going on when we got here. I think it might have been a slight headwind.
That makes sense.
With a little bit of left to right, but that tree line right there blocking that left to right. Chris, that tree could have been good, could have not mattered a whole lot. If his stuck and didn't skip, he was going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, this is a similar situation with that double punishment on the couple holes in the front nine, where if you do find yourself out of bounds on either side, you might not really have a second shot. You might have to just kind of lay up to the middle of the fairway. It's a difficult one for sure. Garrett going big, hyzer on right side. That looks a little high and a little left.
Yeah, it does. But whoa. I was so curious how this ended up where it was at, because we all thought it was going to be in that tree line on the left.
That is a fantastic break.
Gets a little, fantastic break off of those trees there.
That's all that is.
I had a pretty good misrelease off of the tee shot and go OB to the right side.
That did not get a good break. That went into the woods.
I also misreleased that one and went off into the woods. Just struggling with the confidence after that shoulder injury I took in Vegas. Having a hard time throwing how I want to.
Yeah.
So right here, there's a rule in the rule book. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not going to be able to word it the same as what is in the rule book. But if you read it by itself, there is a rule that says you can take your disc inbounds, or at the closest place inbounds to where your disc has landed. So what he was reading right there is he threw this as a provisional shot. This is where his disc crossed out of bounds.
I'm already confused, but continue.
Right. So that's where typically you would see players throw from, is where Joel just threw from as his provisional shot.
Okay.
Now he is going to take it directly inbounds from where his disc is at as the rule that please go read it. I think it's 8.203, something of that sort. Look around there. Sorry, I don't know the rule book well enough to really point that out. But what was decided kind of even before he threw this shot. So his disc is directly to the right of where he's marked it at. This is the full distance of his disc, but inbounds. This is actually a rule that is only in place if it has been designated by the tournament director. So kind of like a drop zone or a 2-meter rule.
Okay.
If on a specific hole the tournament director says...
You just break the...
He knocked something off of there.
That's a very obscure rule.
Yeah. Pretty strange. We all didn't know what to say about it, so we did the provisional to try so we could figure out what to do afterwards. The shot that he hit the pin on didn't matter at all. That one is not correct. The TD did not determine at any point before the round that you could do that.
Yeah.
So he's playing from where his disc last went out of bounds, or was last inbounds.
So the TD would have had to establish a drop zone before the tournament for that rule to be in play.
A drop zone, or say you can take it from where it's at closest inbounds. So confusion there, but all for naught. He played it how everybody knows how to play it.
Maybe something the PDGA should elaborate on and maybe clarify a little bit for us players.
Yeah, just a few strange wordings in there.
Yeah.
And this is now his 5th shot. A great little touch forehand roller out. Gonna tap in his double bogey. Along with me, who struggled along the hole, I'm gonna take a double bogey as well.
I think he broke that plastic covering on the pole with that second shot that doesn't matter. You can see that little shard right there.
Yeah.
Dang, another expense for the DGPT to take care of. Yeah, unfortunate double for you. You mentioned you're having some trouble with your shoulder a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt at this point, but it is definitely in my mind for these last few events. And,
for sure.
I noticed something rewatching this on hole 9's tee. I don't think I'm quite getting my body at the right angle that I need to release. So something to work on or stop thinking about, one of the two.
And those little issues going on could change your game entirely. It can change your mental state, your physical state. So hopefully you can bounce back.
Yeah, big swing on that hole though. Taking a couple of strokes away from Joel and myself. Again, 4.42, hardest hole on the course. Hole 18, second hardest hole on the course today, averaging it at 3.4. Got the big right-handed hyzer that goes over top of these trees, or even possibly around, as the best play to attack for a birdie. You've got 350 foot straight for a layup. I doubt we'll see that at all from lead cards. And then there's a straight look as well, where you could go straight at it or slightly off to the left and high and fade back into the pin.
Yeah, I spent a good amount of time watching the FPO cards finish on this hole, and the amount of rollaways I saw on this green it was pretty ridiculous. So you really, if you have a putt for birdie or even par or anything, you have to commit to this putt and get the height on it, because if you hit metal, there's a fairly good chance that you will find yourself out of bounds in the creek right there.
And Chris, going out and around those trees, you typically see players going over, but still goes over a further gap and gets inbounds. Garrett going over top of those trees that I was expecting players to go over. Spikes just outside of the circle.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shot from Garrett. Joel looking to do about the same. Are you guys just staring right into that sunset?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to see if you're looking off to the right where these guys are throwing it all. This looks to be a little bit early.
Yeah, he wanted a lot more flex on that, that's for sure.
And it's going to end up out of bounds, but he will be able to take that from that side, as he did cross inbounds across.
They opened up this left side a little bit more this year.
Yeah, definitely more open than last year. But again, not quite throwing that correctly. That may have come back in if it didn't catch that, but still pretty questionable. I'm going to have a long look across this pond to try to save a bogey now.
Yeah, I feel like a drop zone might be a good addition to this hole in the future for shots like this, because you are still a good ways back.
And a pretty good throw. I thought I was a little closer, but I am right about 32, 33 feet right there with a putt for my bogey.
Garrett with a pretty scary putt.
This Nashville, Tennessee sunset.
Yep. But honestly, if you're going to miss that putt, it's probably better not to hit metal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a very, very sloped green, easy to roll back down.
And that sunset is unreal. Oh, puts it out a little high and left.
Yeah, so that was for Joel's par after going OB. Looks like he's going to tap in a bogey to finish his round as well. Circle's edge here for my bogey look.
Yeah. Gonna finish out with the bogey and a one down round. Yeah, just
just a bit high. Nice little roll here.
There's that roll I was talking.
It does curl around, and I don't have to re-putt from where I'm standing again.
Yep. Yeah. It is a tough finish for you, but like even with the double finish, you were still well under par going to the last two holes. So a little bit of unfortune right there, or misfortune. Unfortunate.
Yeah, Chris though, finishing his round off strong, gonna get the birdie to get to 10 down today.
That is clean. He still had a bogey though, so yeah.
Not quite clean, but clean enough to take the outright lead.
And there were two bogey-free rounds this tournament, only two of the tournament. This round, I apologize, and it was Alden Harris and Justin Rosick. So congratulations for those guys for putting together two very clean rounds.
Yeah, pretty tough to do out here with all the OB and incredibly sticky, pointy situations you can get in the woods.
Oh yeah, and both of those guys I just mentioned actually moving up to top 10. I believe tied for 6th.
Yeah, so only one birdie.
Yeah, Chris really separated himself from the rest of the lead card.
I've fought my way all the way back to even now with just a very lackluster back nine. But still, one more round to go. You see right here, Chris Dickerson taking the outright lead. Adam Hammis jumping up hot, 15 down. Nico LaCastro and Ezra Adderhold going to round out our top card.
Yeah, Chris separated himself a little bit, but still, it's anyone's game going to that last round.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you out there for the conclusion of the Music City Open.